Yeah, this is looking good. Hey guys, if you're a photographer, if you're a model, if you're a brand, a designer, some kind of manufacturer of a product that wants to get out there, and you're using social media, you're probably gonna have heard of a collab. There are good collabs and there are bad collabs. But, is this a thumbnail? So over the years, I've been involved in a ton of collabs. Let's see, I've got my phone handy. No, a collab is where no one's getting paid. There's some artistic aspect, and every person involved sort of based on what they bring in terms of their following on social media, their experience, their vision. Basically, whoever's the driving force, you might kind of call the host or the person who was, you know, coordinating or producing the work. Now, everyone ultimately needs the image. So as a photographer, especially starting out, sometimes I feel like people will reach out to you because you're just getting going, because they need images and they see, hey, your work's pretty good. You have something that you can offer to us. When you're very first starting out taking photos or videos, depending on what your training is or your background, you're gonna wanna work with people who don't have more experience than you. Test your craft, try and figure out your style, figure out your lenses, the mechanics of a new camera. Sometimes if I get a new piece of gear, I'll do a collab just because I want an opportunity to use it. Like I have some colored lighting, or you know, I have a new gimbal or something that I want to use and I want to get involved with somebody, and I don't want it to be in a high pressure situation. Like if I'm shooting a wedding or shooting for a product, I don't want to be testing it out when someone's paying me. So that's a good situation for a collab, is if you want to learn or test, like get a family member, get a friend, get someone who's a hobbyist doing models, or someone that you think, wow, they're so photogenic, I'd love to try and take some pictures with them. I'm gonna give them something, they're giving me their time, you know? So I'm gonna give them X number of photos, either they're here, have a little shoot, or I'm gonna give you 10 really well edited photos that I like. I think when it's a full collaboration, you should really be open to giving the model, especially if they're more experienced than you, more of the images, because there might be different things that they're looking for than you are as the photographer. You might be looking at the framing, the mise en scène, the whole thing, the lighting and everything, and their nose might be at just an angle where there's a little bump or something that they find very unflattering. And the photo that you don't love because of X, Y, Z with the lighting might be the photo that gets just the right look from them, that they like really want to include in the photo. You know, that smolder, I don't know, I'm not a model, I can't do it. There's something there that you might not see, or an angle or something with their body that they're not like loving. Man, am I sweating? It's so hot in here, and when I shoot I keep having to turn the AC off, but that's okay. We're doing it for the people, for you guys. Something that when you're starting out is you should take on collaborations. You should try and work with people who have like more followers than you, more experience, all these sorts of things. A collaboration is something where all parties involved are giving and getting something of comparable or equal value, or value that they feel good about. When someone is, you know, asking you to collaborate, ultimately all of the vendors need your images, but they also need the model, they need the dress, they need the reason to get there, they need like absolutely amazing location. So from collab to collab, you kind of need to look at like who are the stakeholders, how much have they invested, and try and treat people with the kind of respect based on what they're bringing to the table. Whether it's like someone who's like, oh, it's like a pretty simple idea, but they have a huge following, or this person has like a designer, this designer has some fashion that like absolutely aligns with the kind of field you're trying to get into, and you want the opportunity to shoot them, then that's great. And you might shoot some kind of catalog work just for the experience and the repetition. Whereas, you know, if it's something that I'm trying to collaborate with someone, I'm usually trying to go like pushing my artistic boundaries, doing something creative or weird or sexy or fun or funny. Basically, a good collaboration is one where you feel good at the end. You know, you feel really great. And here's some great collabs that I've worked on. So jumping to the other side, what is a bad collab? This is something that happens a lot, especially to new everybody. No matter what your field is, if you're just jumping in, you're gonna probably try and get involved to just create content, get your word out there, and that's really valuable. But after a certain point, you kind of have to start valuing your work. I don't know what that point is. I still like to do collabs, but when I do now, I kind of demand that I'm getting something creative out of it, because I've got an experience level and a quality of work that people can see. If they want to work with me, they know what they're getting, and they know the kind of style that I do and the things that I'm capable of typically. And I'm not going to try and put my absolute biggest effort into collaborations that aren't paid. Not anymore. That said, if there's something that excites me, I'm working on this blacklight and projector art series, so I've been reaching out to past contacts and collaborators, models and so on, makeup artists, etc., that I want to work with again, and I have something now that I really want to do. Oftentimes the first shoot has been something that was a concept of theirs that I went and was pretty down for, to just do what makes sense for them and create images. Hey, water break. Cool guys, drink water. Yeah, a bad collab, simply put, is one where things aren't just equitable. So, for example, if you're a photographer and you're working with a model and say, I have provided a location, especially if I've spent money on the location because it's someone I'm excited to work with. We've discussed in advance the kind of shots and things, like glamour or otherwise, or, you know, things that we're getting something out of both of us because I want the experience. I want to make a cool sizzle video. I think it'll draw eyes to my page. It's so important to actually talk in advance about what your expectations are. It's a mistake that I've made so many times and have fallen into. It goes into my anxiety and my people pleasing and these sorts of things, but a pretty girl in this case, or a, you know, powerful, successful businessman or woman, or someone with a brand or something that could lead to something, and you put all your eggs in, you put your best work, you show up, you do the work, you get it edited fast, you give it all your creative juices, and their own whatever it is, they just don't like the shoot, or their anxiety is getting in the way of them posting right now, or da-da-da-da. I don't blame them for any of those things. Everyone's on their own journey, doing their own work, and the relationship that we all have with social media isn't always easy to navigate. Sometimes you need a break. But when someone's put in the effort, now I pretty much demand, like, I need, like, I don't know, 3 shots that they need to choose per look, because I need to be able to post by 3s on my Instagram. I need to be able to build my portfolio, and I'm putting out effort just because they don't have a great time on this shoot, like, assuming I was professional, doing my side of things, they, you know, things went well enough, there wasn't some technical hindrance, and the shoot, to my knowledge, went well and I did my job. Of course, if someone had a terrible time, if there was an accident, if, you know, they actually just come to you and say, hey, XYZ, or I have this, you know, someone have like a scar or something, they're having terrible skin, they might say, hey, I don't want any of these photos. You can say, well, I will spend the extra time to, you know, airbrush or fix that for just the pics that you want. But you have to get something out of it. Going into collaborations now, I always try and specify my needs so that we're both protected. There's no resentment. They know exactly kind of what I'm expecting to get from it. If you don't value yourself and set your own boundaries, you're just gonna be disappointed. They're not gonna exist. You're gonna do all this work and then ultimately have it be for nothing, and that's a huge bummer. An example would be, hey, do you want to do a collaboration with me? I've got this new fashion line. I've got 6 outfits and I'd like to work with you. I would say, okay, great. So, you know, is there a great location? You know, how many models, who's doing it? What kind of timeline do you have in mind? Because in this case, like, I don't want to do all that brain work. They're not paying me to do it. So they can bring that and I will show up and do my job. I'll take photos, I'll bring lighting, I'll do the best that I can in their situation. If you're not bringing something like really exceptional to the table to work with a photographer, or on the other side to work with a model, don't expect to dictate all of the terms. You want to work with each other, but you do need to say what you need from it, and that will protect you and your feelings and your artistic credibility and integrity if you actually approach with what you need from a shoot. I think that's a huge, huge thing that I didn't do for a long time, and I got burned multiple times. The flip side is I took chances on people and had absolutely amazing shoots that I'm so proud of. So, you know, just don't take so many chances that you're totally jaded and you're not gonna work with anyone anymore. There's always an opportunity to work with someone new, and I think you should, like, maybe limit yourself to like a collab or 2 a month, or if you're just getting started, like 1 or 2 a week, or I don't know how much you're trying to work. ultimately, lots of my collaborations that I have done for freebies and just cool ideas over the years where it's been good and worked out and I've been happy with the work, those have led to paying gigs. So I can't really knock the idea that you should just go and work with people that you're excited to work with. You should. A bad collab is also something where, you know, someone's getting you to shoot like 12 looks in a studio and they really just want them to be absolutely just like catalog, and they're just getting you to do their work for them. They want you to do, you know, all of the editing and everything just to exactly what they need for their website, and all of a sudden you're like, you should have just hired a photographer who does product or fashion photography to shoot your website catalog. This isn't creative, it's just a technical exercise. There's no freedom in my like angle choice or lens choice, lighting choice. Basically, if there's no choices for you as a photographer, then it's a bad collab, and it should just be a paid gig. And likewise, if you're a photographer and you really want someone to do like, hey, I really want you to do nudity, I really want you to do this avant-garde stuff, definitely talk to a friend or someone you've worked with before and get them on board with your creative idea, or pay a model. You'll be amazed what you can get when you pay people, even if it's not a huge budget, but just offer something and say, hey, this is a little different, or I'm really only doing this one big elaborate setup, say with like some fire, pyrotechnics, or something with like, you know, the stars and like a night shoot. If you're really doing something where it's just for you, the photographer, then really make that clear to the model and, you know, get someone who you know on board, or pay someone to do it so that you can actually feel real value in your vision. If you just want the photos to be just yours, if you're going to resell them, print them, anything like that, it's so important in terms of the intellectual property and copyright ownership that you take time and, like, I don't know, you want to foster a good experience for photographers, models, designers, everyone and artists in your community. You want your name to be well represented, and that is really done by clarity. And other than that, just enjoy this like supercut of some of my favorite collabs that I happen to have handy and easily editable to some music, so enjoy! As always, I'm here for you, and I believe in you. Whatever you're up to, I hope it's exciting, and maybe you'll share it with me. I hope I'll see you again real soon. Bye.